So yeah, I started the violin actually when I was 6 years old, and I just begged my parents for lessons. I had heard the violin, I had been to orchestra concerts, and I just fell in love with it. And so when I was 6 is when I got my first little tiny violin. Well, you know, I actually asked for dance lessons and violin lessons, and my parents, they could barely even afford, well, they couldn't really afford to do any of them, but they let me pick. My mom took me to one dance lesson, and she took me to a violin lesson, and she said, "You choose, which one do you want?" And I chose the violin. My favorite violin is, its name is Excalibur. That's what I named it. It's about a 100-year-old violin, and I just love it. It has a very rich tone to it. I also like my carbon fiber violin, which is the one I have with me here today. It has a very bright. It was a really hard experience. I remember I was so hurt afterwards. It made me very afraid when I got off the show because, you know, I just thought, wow, they really didn't like me. And, you know, obviously the world doesn't like me because, you know, I got kicked off the show. But then I thought about it, and it turned from fear into motivation. And I thought, no, I love what I do, and I want to still show it to the world. And I know I can do it. And so it turned into determination. And so for me, I think that trials, they either make you or they break you. They make you stronger or they can break you down. And, you know, it's up for each one of us to decide what we're going to do with those opportunities. And I'm really grateful that somehow I was able to find courage from that experience. And so for me, it made me a stronger person because it gave me a big challenge to get over. You know, to do a full album for me was a big deal because, you know, that's a lot of original music, but it was kind of, I wanted to show that not only could I do individual projects, not only could I put videos online and get views, but I wanted to have an album. I wanted to have something that I could hold and that I could give to my fans that represented, this is me, this is the artist that I am and that I want to be and that I've always wanted to be, and here it is. You know, for this album, actually, every single song that I wrote made it on the album, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. A lot of times, artists will have a huge collection of songs and you pick the best ones, but it's amazing because when I wrote this album, I was a poor college student and I didn't have any money, and so I took basically my college savings and I pulled it and I put it into this album. So I knew that every song I went in the studio and worked on, it had to work. And so I wrote 12 songs and each one is on the album. I love Instagram because unlike YouTube, I mean, I spend months on one video or on one song, but Instagram, I spend about 2 seconds to snap a photo and it just shows my, you know, my friends, my family, my fans, you know, what I'm doing. I haven't done it on any of my original tracks yet. I think I tried actually one time and I didn't keep it. But on one of the tracks on the album, actually the last track on this album is called Stars Align. And I do sing one line on that song. Very short, very short. That's all I've done so far vocally myself. A good part of last year I was touring and, you know, playing the songs from this album, and I loved them so much, and I'd just become so attached to this album. It was really hard to jump in the studio again, and honestly I was kind of afraid. I was like, this album, the last, you know, when I wrote it, there was no pressure. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody cared. I had so much time to work on it and just do it the way I wanted and whatever, you know, there was no one waiting for it. And then this time, this album did way better than I ever even hoped it would. I had no idea it would do so well, and to jump back in the studio knowing that, you know, there's a lot of people that are going to see this one.